Thank you for using Automagical Apps Slides Translator, the original and best Google Slides translator on the market, used by over 40 million installations globally. Let me show you how to get started very quickly. All you have to do is go to your Google Slides and click on the Extensions menu and click Slides Translator and click Translate. Once you do that, it's going to open a sidebar where you can start to translate your Google Slides. Now there's other options in that drop-down menu you were just looking at, where you can narrate your slides, you can speak to your slides, but we'll leave that for a different tutorial video. Now here you can see the sidebar is open. Now there's a couple options here that I'm going to walk you through, and then we're going to talk about translating slides, talk about translating images and the different methods to do so, and some best practices. So you can forward to the video part that's most relevant to you, or just watch the whole thing. So first things first, you can hit two buttons here, Translate or Translate all slides. Translate will only translate what you've selected. So that could be a single slide, a single text box, multiple slides and text boxes, so on and so forth. Translate all slides will translate everything in your Google Slides presentation. So you can choose which one you want to do, but we typically recommend starting with translating a slide or two to see how it works, and then hitting the Translate All Slides button to translate everything. You can select your language. With the Google Translation Engine, there's over 100 to choose from. You also have the DeepL translation engine and the Gemini translation engine, both of which tend to have a higher quality depending on the languages you're translating to, but also require you to have a school district or a business license. So if you need one of those, reach out to us at sales@automagicalapps.com. Keep in mind, if you are a free user, you have unlimited lifetime usage of this tool, up to 200 slides to translate when you first download the tool, and then 100 free slides every single month. Or if you're a paid user, you have much higher caps and usage, as well as access to all of the translation engines and all of the image translation stuff that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So here, just to show you an example, if I hit Google, select this slide, and hit Translate with Spanish selected, it's going to translate this slide while keeping the style and formatting of it exactly the same. Now you can see the slide has been translated with the positioning, the font, and the formatting all exactly as it was before. Now, if I wanted to translate everything, I could just go ahead and hit Translate All Slides to translate all of my slides. But what if you have images in your slides? Well, let's talk about that. There's three ways to translate an image. Number one, you can pull the text out and translate just that. Number two, you can translate the image without modifiable text, so it's just a brand new translated image. And number three, you can translate the image with modifiable text, so you can actually edit and manipulate that text that's been translated. So let's go through each one, starting with pulling the text out and translating just that. I simply have to hit the Translate Image Text toggle with the slide or the image selected and hit Translate. And what that's going to do is pull the text out and give me the translation, leaving the image there and letting me do whatever I want with the text, as you can see here. Now, if I move this text, you're going to see the image is still back there, but now I can manipulate this text or do whatever I want with it. This is helpful for slides that have images that are just plain text that you just need to pull the text out and translate, where the image is not so important to the meaning of the slide. But what if you want to actually translate the image itself? Well, you can do that with modifiable text if you turn on the Translate Image toggle and leave the With Editable Text toggle on. When you turn this toggle on, automatically both of them will be on. And again, if you hit the slide or hit the image and hit Translate, now you're going to see a translated image with modifiable text. Okay, now you can see the image has been translated and the text is modifiable. So I can bold it, I can grow it, I can change the font, I can do whatever I'd like with it. Now if I delete the text, you'll see the image is still there, but the text has been erased. And behind this window, you're going to see the original image is still there. So if you ever want to revert back, you can always revert back by just deleting the translated image. But what if you just want to translate the image without modifiable text? Well, if you turn off With Editable Text and select the image and hit Translate, now you're going to see this actually uses a different AI model to translate the image. So if you don't get a good performance using the first method with editable text, you can remove With Editable Text and try again to see the result that you get. Okay, now you can see the image again has been translated, and you can see that the text is not modifiable, can't do anything with it, and you can also see the text is now in black font and the fonts are standardized. You can also see there's a little bit of an error in the cat's face because it detected the cat's mouth as a character and tried to translate that as well. So that's one of the things that you want to keep in mind is as you're translating images, it's not typically a one-size-fits-all solution where you just hit a few toggles and translate everything. You typically want to go image by image and try both with editable text and without editable text to see which model your image translates best with. The thing to keep in mind without the editable text toggle on is that fonts will always be standardized to black font and in the same font. So you can't modify them. So that's why we typically recommend you use the with editable text toggle on. Now, let me show you a scenario where that might not work so well. Here, you have a complicated image. So if I turn off with editable text and translate this one, you're going to see the results are much better because this is a very complicated image with lots of colors and text, and it's tightly cramped together. When you turn on the editable text toggle, during the erase process of the original text, sometimes it blurs lines, which is not useful for an image like this. But if you just do translate image without the editable text, you're going to see that a lot of the details here are preserved. Now let me show you if we did it with editable text. Okay, now you can see the translation is complete, but now we have a lot of blurring in here and a lot of editable text that is hard to manage. So if I wanted to select everything and modify all these together, I could do that, but it just gets more complicated than it needs to be. So for this type of image, we typically recommend just translating the image without the modifiable text. So let me just get rid of that. And we are back to the original image. Now let me give you a little bit of a quiz. For an image like this, which is a screenshot of our sister product, Automagical Translate, which translates any file in your Google Drive. If you're interested, there's a link in the description section below. You can check it out. But for an image like this, you typically want to just stick with the translate image toggle on and with editable text off. Because again, this is a pretty complicated image with a lot of stuff going on. You don't need to modify all that text. Just leave this one on. Now here we have a background image. So if I try to select anything on this slide, I can't select it because this image has been set in the background. What I can do is I can go to options and turn on translate background images. Now we can actually translate that background image. Still, same two options exist, translate image and translate image with editable text. So for this one, because it's a pretty simple image, I'm going to turn on the editable text function, select the slide and hit translate. And you're going to see that it replaces the background image with a translated background image with text that is modifiable because I've turned that toggle on, so I can manipulate that text however I please. This is useful if you buy assets from third-party marketplaces or from publishers that sort of lock everything into a background image as text and you can't manipulate it or move it around. This works really well for that. Now you can see here, the text is modifiable, so I can just grow it right back to how it should have been before. Now, one thing to keep in mind is with this method, you will find that the text boxes are positioned in the exact same place that they were before the translation, but sometimes the size of the font might change. So you can just simply select the text and grow it right back to the font that you want it to be, or the size that you'd like it to be. So there you have it. That's translating images in a nutshell and translating all your slides in a nutshell. Now there's a few other options in here we can walk through. Number one is make a copy. So if you are in a rush and you just want to make a copy of the file in the translated language without having to duplicate the file, change the name, translate that file, you can just turn on the make a copy toggle and then hit translate all slides. You have to hit translate all slides. It will not work with translate. So if you hit this button with this toggle on, it will make a new copy of the file with a changed name in your Google Drive, so you can do this very quickly to create multiple copies in different languages. You can also translate speaker notes. So if I turn this toggle on and hit translate or translate all slides, it will also translate all of the content in my speaker notes. You can add a glossary by turning this toggle on, which will translate specific keywords in a specific way to a different language. Very good for proper nouns or jargon in your industry. You can also summarize your slides by just hitting this button, which will summarize all of your slides into 5 bullet points in a new slide at the top of your presentation. So that covers all of Slides Translator's most used features in a nutshell. If you need any help at all, reach out to us at support@automagicalapps.com. And if you'd like to talk to someone in sales to get a business or a school district license, reach out to us at sales@automagicalapps.com, and we're happy to work with you. We have licensing for every budget, so whatever you need, we're here to help. If you need a feature, please reach out to us and let us build it for you. Thank you. Have a good day.